How to choose the perfect English book for your level. Part 1. Introduction. Hello and a very warm welcome back to English Parchment. We are so happy to have you here today. This is the place where we turn the difficult task of learning English into an enjoyable journey through stories. Before we dive into today's essential lesson on how to find your perfect reading match, please take a second to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support is the fuel that allows us to keep making these long-form lessons, and we want you to be part of our community of successful learners. Now let me describe a situation. You walk into a bookstore. You see a beautiful book with a bright cover. It is a famous novel that everyone is talking about. You feel excited. You buy the book, go home, make a cup of tea, and open the first page. But after 10 minutes, your head starts to ache. You have to look up 5 words in every sentence. The story is moving too slowly because you are stopping constantly. Eventually, you close the book, put it on your shelf, and you never open it again. You feel like a failure. You think, maybe my English just isn't good enough. Stop right there. The problem isn't your English. The problem is the book. In the world of language learning, there is something called the Goldilocks Zone. Just like the girl in the famous fairy tale, you don't want a book that is too hard or too easy. You want the one that is just right. Today, we are going to learn exactly how to find that book. If you stay with us until the end of this video, I will show you the 5-finger rule, a secret trick that takes only 60 seconds to tell if a book is right for you, and I'll explain why reading baby books might actually be the smartest thing you can do for your fluency. Let's find your next favorite book. Part 2. The Goldilocks Zone of language learning. Why is the level of a book so important? To understand this, we have to look at how our brains process information. If a book is too easy, you are passive. You recognize every word and you know every grammar structure. While this can be relaxing, you aren't growing. Your brain is not being challenged to create new neural connections. It is like lifting a weight that is too light at the gym. It feels good, but you aren't building muscle. If a book is too hard, you enter the frustration zone. When you encounter too many unknown words, your brain's amygdala, the part of the brain that handles stress, switches on. When you are stressed, you cannot learn. Your working memory becomes full of decoding words, and you lose the ability to understand the big picture of the story. The Goldilocks zone is where the magic happens. In linguistics, we call this comprehensible input plus 1, or I plus 1. This means you understand 95% to 98% of the content, but there is 2% to 5% that is new. This small amount of newness keeps your brain alert and curious, but it doesn't cause stress. In this zone, you can guess the meaning of new words from the context. This is how you build true fluency. Part 3. The famous 5-finger rule. Now let's talk about the most practical tool you will ever learn, the 5-finger rule. You can use this in a bookstore, a library, or even when looking at a sample of an ebook online. Here is how it works. 1. Open the book to any page in the middle. 2. Start reading a full page of text. 3. Every time you find a word that you don't know, put up 1 finger. 0 to 1 fingers. This book is too easy. This is great for extensive reading, which we will talk about later, but you won't learn much new vocabulary. 2 to 3 fingers. This is the perfect match. This is your Goldilocks zone. You will be challenged, but you will still enjoy the story. 4 fingers. This book is challenging. You can read it, but it will be intensive reading. You will need to focus hard, and you might get tired quickly. 5+ fingers. This book is too hard. Put it back on the shelf for now. It doesn't mean you will never read it. It just means it is not the right tool for you today. This simple test prevents you from wasting money on books that will only make you feel frustrated. It turns you into a smart shopper for your own education. Part 4. Graded Readers. The Secret Weapon. As a B1 learner, you are in a very special position. You are no longer a beginner, but you aren't quite ready for authentic material, like a 500-page Stephen King novel. This is where graded readers become your best friend. A graded reader is a book written specifically for language learners. They are usually divided into levels: level 1, level 2, level 3, etc., or aligned with the CEFR levels: A2, B1, B2. Why are they so good? 1. Controlled vocabulary. The authors use the most frequent and useful words for your level. You aren't learning strange, poetic words from the 1800s. You are learning words you can use in a conversation tomorrow. 2. Simplified grammar. The sentence structures are designed to be clear. You won't find sentences that are 5 lines long with 10 different commas. 3. High-interest stories. Modern graded readers aren't childish. You can find thrillers, romances, biographies, and even adaptations of famous classics like Sherlock Holmes or The Great Gatsby, all rewritten for a B1 level. Using a graded reader is like using a map when you are in a new city. It gives you enough guidance so that you don't get lost, but it still allows you to explore. Part 5. Authentic material. When are you ready? Many students feel guilty for reading graded readers. They think, I should be reading real books. This is a mistake. However, there does come a time when you want to try authentic material, books written for native speakers. At the B1 level, if you want to try an authentic book, you should look for specific genres that are naturally easier to read. Young adult fiction. Books like The Hunger Games or Harry Potter are written for teenagers. The language is modern, the action is fast, and the vocabulary is less literary than adult fiction. Non-fiction/self-help. Books about psychology, productivity, or business, like Atomic Habits, are often written in very direct, clear English. Authors want to explain ideas, not show off their vocabulary. Graphic novels and comics. These are incredible for B1 learners because the pictures provide 50% of the context. If you don't know a verb, you can see the character doing the action in the drawing. If you choose an authentic book, remember the 5-finger rule. If it's too hard, don't be afraid to put it down. There is no prize for finishing a book you didn't understand. Part 6. Interest versus difficulty. There is one magic factor that can override all the rules we have talked about today: interest. If you are a professional doctor and you are reading a medical journal in English, you might be able to understand it, even if the English is C1 level. Why? Because you already know the content. Your brain can fill in the gaps because you understand the subject. The same is true for your hobbies. If you love football, you will find it much easier to read a biography of a famous player than a story about a Victorian tea party. When you are interested in the topic, your brain produces dopamine. Dopamine helps with focus and memory. So, when choosing a book, ask yourself, would I read this in my native language? If the answer is no, then don't read it in English. Learning English is hard enough. Don't make it harder by reading something boring. Passion is the best dictionary in the world. Part 7. Extensive versus intensive reading. To be a successful learner, you need to use two different strategies: extensive reading and intensive reading. You need different books for each. Extensive reading. Reading for pleasure. This is when you read a book that is slightly easy, 0 to 1 fingers. You read quickly. You don't look up any words. Your goal is to enjoy the story. This builds your reading stamina and helps you see the rhythm of the language. For this, choose a graded reader one level below your current level. Intensive reading. Reading for study. This is when you read a book that is challenging, 3 to 4 fingers. You read slowly. You look up new words and write them in your notebook. You analyze the grammar. This is a workout for your brain. For this, choose a book that is slightly above your level. A good balance is 80-20. Spend 80% of your time on extensive reading, fun, easy, fast, and 20% on intensive reading, slow, focused study. This prevents burnout and keeps you moving forward. Part 8. The first page test. Before you buy a book, I want you to perform the first page test. Read the first 500 words. After you finish, ask yourself these 3 questions. 1. Do I know what is happening? If you are confused about who the characters are or where they are, the book is too hard. 2. Can I see the story? If you can visualize the scene in your mind without translating every word, you have found a good level. 3. Do I want to turn the page? This is the most important question. If you are curious about what happens next, your brain is engaged. If the answer to all 3 is yes, then you have found your Goldilocks book. If you have to read the same sentence 3 times to understand it, put it back. There are millions of books in the world. Don't get stuck on the wrong one. Part 9. Digital reading tools. We live in a wonderful time for language learners because of technology. Tools like a Kindle or an iPad can change your reading level. E-readers have built-in dictionaries. On a Kindle, you can simply tap a word, and the definition appears in English. This is much faster than using a physical dictionary and helps you stay in the flow state. Many ebooks also have a feature called WordWise. This automatically puts simple definitions above difficult words. This can lower the level of a hard book and make it accessible for a B1 learner. However, be careful. Don't let the technology do all the work. Try to guess the meaning first, and only tap the screen if you are truly stuck. Part 10. Conclusion. Choosing the right book is an act of self-love. It is a way of saying to yourself, I want to enjoy this journey. I don't want to suffer. Remember, Reading should feel like a reward, not a punishment. When you find that perfect book, the one where the words disappear and the story comes to life, your English will improve faster than you ever thought possible. You aren't just learning a language, you are opening a door to a new world. I want to hear from you. What was the first book you ever read in English? Was it too hard, too easy, or just right? Tell us your story in the comments below. We love hearing about your progress. Before you go, if you found these tips helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with a friend who is struggling with their reading. And if you haven't already, subscribe to English Parchment so you never miss our upcoming stories and guides. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your hard work, and I will see you in the next chapter of our English journey. Happy reading!